Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Fino Concept. So I got my hand on the Samsung Galaxy A50 for a day for me to test it out, and here are my thoughts. Is it any good? Well, let's find out. Alright, so opening up the box, we've got the phone itself, a rubber case for the phone, as well as the user manual, the charging brick and USB cable, some AKG earphones, and the SIM ejector tool. So let's put that aside and boot up the phone. I have gone ahead to start it up, so you don't have to go through with me. First off, let's talk about the build quality. Well, it weighs 166 grams and it supports dual nano SIM card with an additional micro SD in case you want to add in more storage. So on the right of the phone, we have the volume rockers and the power button. All the other sides have nothing except for the bottom, which houses the USB Type-C port and a 3.5 headphone jack. It has a plastic back and a plastic frame, but the screen is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 3. Speaking of the screen, we have a 6.4-inch display, 1080 by 2340 pixel Super AMOLED touch screen, which can go completely dark when you turn on night mode in settings. So there are a variety of them. We have the 64 gig and the 128 gigs of internal storage. Both of them also have another variety, which is the 4 gigs of RAM or 6 gigs of RAM. But the one I got my hand on was the 128 gigs of internal storage with 4 gigs of RAM. Now for security purposes, we have the usual Android lock settings, but it also comes with a face recognition which allows you to unlock your device with your face. Now I was a bit surprised it was able to read my face even behind the camera. Oh yeah, you may have realized that there's no fingerprint scanner on the device. Well, that is because it has an inbuilt optical under display fingerprint sensor, which is awesome. So it's running the 4G LTE band, Android 9.0, which is upgradable to 10.0, and all of these is running on Samsung's own One UI, which is pretty awesome. It also runs on the Exynos 96010 chipset, so if you're a multitasker, this is going to run very smoothly for you. Now let's talk about my favorite feature of this smartphone. It houses a 25 megapixel for the main camera, 8 megapixel for the ultra wide, and 5 megapixel for the depth sensor. Now the depth sensor in the live focus mode allows you to get bokeh or blur background in your image, like this image right here. Some of you may know this effect as portrait. Now to properly test out these cameras, I went on a morning hike with my sister and a friend. Now my favorite part of this camera setup is the inclusion of a wide angle lens. And not just that, it has image stabilization.
I'm walking, but it's very smooth.
Now I noticed it was able to stabilize vertical videos much better than the landscape ones. Unfortunately, we are stuck at 1080p at 30 frames per second. For me, I don't mind because all my YouTube videos are shot in 1080p. For the front camera, we have a similar 25 megapixel, which is wide enough for group shots. The video quality is also great, but it lacks any form of image stabilization.
I'm not doing the video.
And the battery life is good enough for everyday use. I mean, for a 4000 mAh battery, you can't really complain that much. I got about 5 hours of screen on time doing basic things like playing games, watching YouTube videos, and visiting other websites. Now these are the couple of things I like about the phone. I love the fact that it has a ultra wide lens setup instead of the telephoto zoom lens. I love the fact that it has a bigger battery, and the fact that you don't have to sacrifice a second SIM card for a micro SD. I use dual SIM like all the time, so that is a pretty neat feature for me. Even though there's USB Type-C, it still includes the earphone jack, which is super awesome. Now although the ultra wide camera is great, I feel it is incomplete. The unsmooth transition between cameras, the severe color shift when recording in broad daylight, the tiny jittering you get when recording videos, and the massive warping effect makes it quite disappointing. Now the phone is also plasticky, and I don't know how many times it's going to survive when you drop it. So yeah, on to the big question. Should you consider getting yourself one? Well, yes, it is a great mid-range phone, and it is super popular outside of Ghana. So if you're interested, I think you should get one. As long as you have about 1,500 Ghana cedis with you, I think you are pretty set. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and other channels which I have them linked below. And as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Fino Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. What's up guys, it's Theo from Fino Concept. So I got my and a 5 megapixel for the depth sensor.
Okay, good day.
Still is slow.
What?